Good afternoon, dear students. Today we will begin with the next set of diseases, or we will start with the fungal diseases. You have two fungal diseases in the syllabus, that is candidiasis and cutaneous mycosis. So today we will talk about candidiasis. So these are the contents that we would be discussing about, a brief introduction. And for these fungal diseases, it is important to know their habitat and also the morphology. So we will be looking at the habitat and morphology of these fungi and classification, their cultural characteristics, pathogenicity, pathogenesis, and symptoms, diagnosis, epidemiology, prophylaxis, and treatment. So, what is this candidiasis? So, candidiasis is basically a primary or a secondary mycotic infection that is caused by members of the genus Candida. So, this these mycotic infections refers to all fungal infections. So, this Candida is a polymorphic fungi, that is, it has the capability to both demonstrate the characteristics of an yeast as well as a fungi. So it behaves both as a yeast as well as fungi under different environmental conditions. So the clinical manifestations can include, it can be either acute, subacute, or chronic to episodic. So acute refers to, what does acute refers to? It refers to the condition wherein any infection will last for a short period of time, or it will not last too long, and the infection will subside by itself without any treatment, requiring any treatment. Subacute is a slightly moderate form of, or rather than moderate, we can say a slightly higher severe form of acute is what is we call as subacute. Or chronic. Chronic refers to latent infections wherein the infection or the causative organism can remain in the body and then cause infection at later stages in the life of the host. Or it can be episodic. Episodic refers to what to say. It can, the infection can come for a short period of time, then disappear, and then again recur in a very short duration, in a very short period of time. So that is what is referred to as episodic. So the involvement may be involvement of the organs, or the where exactly these fungi can cause disease or infections. It can be either localized to the host, like mouth, throat, skin, scalp, vagina, fingers, nails, or it can become systemic as well. Systemic refers to the infection spreading through the bloodstream, and it can lead to septicemia, endocarditis, and also meningitis in very severe cases. So, in healthy individuals, why does this Candida infection occur? It is mainly because of the impaired epithelial barrier. So the epithelial barrier itself is the primary defense mechanism in the host, which will protect all the infections from getting into the body. So this, when this epithelial barrier is disrupted, it can lead to candidal infections, and this candidal infections are not seen in all the age groups, and it very rarely occurs in all the age groups, but it is most common in case of newborn and the elderly, because their immune systems are compromised and it is not well equipped as the other ages host for the system to fight back against the infection. So this systemic candidiasis is mostly seen in patients when they have an cell-mediated immune deficiency, and or we can call it as immunosuppressed individuals, like patients who are undergoing treatment for cancer, and also some transplantation therapies. So when we look at the habitat and morphology of this fungi, these fungi uh, mainly harbor the mucosal membranes in case of humans and also certain warm-blooded animals. And they can also be present in the gut, vagina, and also on the surface of the skin. They can also be found in the digestive tracts of birds. So these are the infective habitats of this fungi. And in the natural environment, they can be found in the soil and also in certain animals and in hospital environments, in animate objects, and also in food. So this is about their habitat. So coming to the morphology, as mentioned earlier, these fungi are polymorphic and they can exist in both yeast form as well as hyphal form. So when we look at the morphology of the yeast form, it is small oval and it measures about 2 to 4 microns in diameter. And this yeast form is unicellular in nature and it reproduces by budding for the yeast form. And single budding of the cells is seen. So when we look at the Gram reaction, both the yeast and the pseudohyphae give Gram positive during Gram's staining. And they are polymorphic, exhibiting both yeast and pseudohyphal forms. So these three forms, whatever you are seeing here, yeast is the normal yeast form. Pseudohyphae is, it is neither an yeast or neither a hyphae, true hyphae. So it is an intermediate morphology. So that's why it is referred to as pseudohyphae. And these yeast can form biofilms on the surface of the or on the surface of the infection or even in the abiotic environments. And the normal condition of this fungi is yeast. Only under special conditions, when there are extreme extremities of pH and temperature, they can exist in the pseudohyphae form. So when we look at the classification, we will be seeing here in classification the different types of candidiasis this Candida species can cause. So in Candida species, the most common one that causes infections in humans or in human hosts is basically the Candida albicans. Okay, and there can be other species as well, but this is the most common one. So the classification of candidiasis it can be classified into three main types, that is mucosal candidiasis, cutaneous candidiasis, and systemic candidiasis. So mucosal candidiasis, as we discussed earlier, it is basically affecting the mucosal membranes. So mucosal membranes, when it is affecting, we'll see what are the types. So under that, the first one is oral candidiasis, that is the mucous membrane of the mouth is infected with candida. Vulvovaginitis, the white lesions on the epithelial surface of vulva, vagina and cervix region is what is called as vulvovaginitis. Balanitis is the infection of glans penis. Esophageal candidiasis is the infection of esophagus. It results in painful swallowing of the infected individuals. So next one is cutaneous candidiasis. Cutaneous refers to infections that occur on the surface of the skin, okay, or in the middle layers of the skin. So the first one is Candida folliculitis, that is the infection and inflammation of the hair follicles, and also rashes and pimples can appear because of this folliculitis. The next one is intertrigo, it is the infection of the skin located between intertriginous folds of adjacent skin. Wherever there is folding, there you can find this candidal intertrigo. And next one is paronychia. So it is the inflammation of the nail folds. Chronic mucocutaneous candidiasis, it is the immune disorder of the T cells and deficient of cell-mediated immunity. So this is what it leads to. The next one is diaper candidiasis. It is found in children, especially in the infants. The infection of the child's diaper area is referred to as diaper candidiasis. So the next one is systemic candidiasis. Systemic refers to the disease spreading through the bloodstream to other parts or other organs of the body, and the infection can spread all over. So candidemia leads to sepsis, and disseminated candidiasis is dissemination of the infection to all the organs. Hepatosplenic candidiasis is wherein the infection affects the infection is happening in the liver and also in the spleen. So these are the different types or classification of candidiasis. When we look at the cultural characteristics, we need to know the different forms of this fungi and what is the pattern of their life cycle. So based on that, we can understand how they can be grown in different media. So when we look at the life cycle of this candida, it is asexual and doesn't perform any meiosis. It has the capability to grow with three distinct morphologies. One is the yeast state, the other is pseudo-hyphae state, and the other is true hyphae state. So that's why, since it has all these distinct morphologies and three different morphologies, and that's why it is having a parasexual life cycle. And these phenotypes can switch between the different forms. Okay, so this opaque form, whatever you are seeing here in purple color, it is the opaque elongated cells that form a flattering colony. Okay, and these opaque forms are more efficient for mating when compared to that of the white forms. So the white forms are initially converted to the opaque forms, and then mating happens to result in a diploid state of this yeast. So this diploid stage forms two cells that are homozygous and have a phenotypic switch from white to mating component. That is the opaque cells. So when two such opaque cells fuse, it results in tetraploid cells. So that is the white form. So this white and rounded cells form dome-shaped colonies. So this is about the cultural characteristics. So which are the media that can be used for the growth of this candida? One is STA. STA is Savarot's dextrose agar, which is a normal media, general media that can be used for the growth of this candida. It forms creamy, pasty colonies that appear smooth after 24 to 48 hours at a temperature of about 25 to 37 degrees centigrade. And another selective media or enriched media is blood agar. In blood agar, the colonies are white, creamy colored, and the distinct characteristic of these colonies are it gives a foot-like extension from the margin of the colonies, as you can see here. Another selective agar that is used for the growth of Candida albicans is chrome agar, wherein in this chrome agar, these Candida albicans give green colored pigmentation and it produces green colonies. So pathogenicity of this fungi, we will see how these fungi can attach to the host cell and how they can switch between the different forms and how they can form the biofilm. So that is what we will see in this pathogenicity part. So these yeast cells will adhere to the host cell surface by the expression of certain adhesins. So the first step, whatever you're seeing here, is the adhesion. So then the contact to host cells triggers the yeast to hyphae transition. So the yeast form will be converted to the hyphal form, and this is happening because of a process which is called as thigmotrophism. Okay, and the expression of certain invasins mediates the uptake of this fungi by the host cells through a process of induced cytosis. So it is not a natural cytosis, but the fungi itself is inducing the cytosis to be taken up by the host cell. So adhesion, physical forces and secretion of the fungal hydrolysis has been proposed to facilitate the second mechanism, that is invasion, and that is fungal driven active penetration into the host cells by breaking down all the barriers. And the attachment of these yeast cells to abiotic or biotic surfaces can give rise to the formation of biofilms, as we discussed earlier. So these biofilms, in this biofilm, the yeast cells will be present in the lower part, whereas the hyphal cells will be present in the upper part of the biofilm. So phenotypic plasticity has been proposed to influence antigenicity and biofilm formation of these Candida albicans. So in addition to these virulence factors, several fitness traits are also influencing these fungal pathogenicity. So what are those fitness traits? It includes heat shock proteins and auto-induction of hyphal formation through uptake of certain amino acids and excretion of ammonia and concomitant extracellular alkalinization. So these fitness traits will basically maintain a physiological balance and help the fungi to cause to infect the host. So these are the different steps that is involved in the pathogenicity of Candida. So we saw that in the previous slide that these fungi are capable of forming the biofilm. So this slide shows the different stages that are involved in the formation of biofilm by Candida species. So the different steps include adherence, initiation, maturation, and dispersal. So adherence is these yeast cells will adhere to the substrate, forming a yeast basal layer. Then the cells propagate and form germ tubes. So the formation of germ tubes is the initiation step. And maturation, the hyphae are formed and extracellular matrix starts to accumulate. So this is the maturation form. So once the extracellular matrix starts to accumulate, it means that the biofilm formation is complete, and now the last step, that is the dispersal of the cells, will start, and these cells are released from the biofilm and they are dispersed to seed new locations. So another site will be selected for the initiation of biofilm formation. So in the pathogenesis part, we will see the different types of candidiasis and how it is causing infection to different areas of the body. The first one is the thrush. So this thrush is nothing but the infection of Candida in the oral cavity. And then the next one is it can, so the thrush can affect moist surfaces around the lips, inside the cheeks, and also on the tongue and palate. So if this infection from the oral cavity spreads to the esophagus, then it can lead to esophagitis. The next type is skin candidiasis or cutaneous candidiasis. So these cutaneous infections mainly affect the skin, and it can include diaper rashes, areas of the, and these infections are most common in areas of the skin that receive very little or no ventilation and that are unusually moist. So that is what the moist areas are what promotes the growth of these fungi. Moisture as well as sugar content. So the vaginal yeast infections, these are also common in women, and mostly 75% of the women would have had at least one candidal infection during their lifetime. So this vaginal yeast infections are more common, or it is women are more susceptible if they are pregnant or have diabetes. Basically, immunocompromised individuals, women, will have these vaginal infections. Deep candidiasis is when the fungi contaminate the bloodstream and spread throughout the body, causing severe infection. So it is these deep candidiasis is common in newborns with that have very low birth weight and in people who have severely immunocompromised condition or who are under medication. So when we look at the symptoms of these different types, what happens in thrush is it causes a curd-like white patches inside the mouth, especially on the tongue and also on the palate and around the lips. So if someone tries to scrape off this whitish surface, then it becomes unusually red, inflamed, which may also start to bleed. So esophagitis, it results in difficulty in swallowing and it is very painful, and it can also cause infection of the sternum. The next one is cutaneous candidiasis. So this photograph, whatever you're seeing here, is one is the thrush and the other one is cutaneous candidiasis. So the reddening of the skin you can see here. So these cutaneous candidiasis causes patches of red, moist, weepy skin, and it sometimes can also produce pustules. So the vaginal yeast infections can cause itchiness and also soreness. Then deep candidiasis spreads to the bloodstream and it can produce a wide range of symptoms from unexplained fever to shock and also multiple organ failure. So that is the severity of candidal infections when it becomes a deep candidiasis or when the infection spreads to the bloodstream. So diagnosis, how are these candidal infections diagnosed? Microscopy is the preliminary method. Just scrape off the fungi from the surface of the skin and examine it, examine, examine it in a wet film in 10% KOH. So it will help you to visualize these pseudohyphae that you are seeing here and also budding these cells of the candida. And gram staining, as told earlier, they give gram positive reaction. And culturing can be done using the three different media that we discussed in cultural characteristics, that is Savarot's dextrose agar, blood agar, and chrome agar. So the identification of albicans can be performed by the germ tube test that produces within 2 hours when incubated in human serum. So when these albicans are incubated with human serum, it produces germ tubes within 2 hours when incubated in human serum at 37 degree centigrade. Serology has limited specificity. Serum antibodies and cell mediated immunity are demonstrable in most of the people because of the lifelong exposure to this Candida albicans. 1,3 beta glucan assay. 1,3 this beta D glucan is a component of the cell wall of the fungi. So it is detected by the positive test is detected by the ability of this to activate factor G of the horseshoe crab coagulation cascade. So if this beta D glucan has the ability to activate activate this factor, that is factor G of the coagulation cascade, then it is positive, or it is positive for Candida. This test is highly specific and it is sensitive. The other molecular methods that are available are DNA probe assay and also PCR. So mode of transmission, how these fungi are transmitted, it can be transmitted from mother to the infants through childbirth, and it is rarely transmitted through physical contact. People to people transmission is possible in hospital environments where there can be many nosocomial infections. So this can also be an addition to that. Prophylactic measures is basically to maintain hygiene and to take up proper nutrition so as to stay fit and also prevent such candidal infections, and careful use of antibiotic as well, which is very important. To take probiotics and to reduce sugar intake. Sugar intake has to be reduced because these fungi or any fungi for that matter mainly require two components for their growth, that is moist environment and sugar. So and preferably to wear cotton clothing that are comfortable and loose fitting, and wet clothes. So treatment, use of several chemotherapeutic agents is recommended, like the antifungal agents is recommended for different types of candidiasis, and among all of them, fluconazole is the most common one that is used for majority of the infections, except for oral infection, because oral infection will require a very mild treatment, because since it is the oral cavity is getting exposed. So here for oral candidiasis, nystatin, miconazole and amphotericin B can be used. It's about candidiasis. Thank you. If you have any queries, you can post it in the course chat and we can discuss there.